Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And today I got Jonathan Reynolds, the smartest, dopest, most brilliant person at Google, cloud engineer. Man, Jonathan, what's going on, bro?
Can't complain, man. I can't complain. It's raining outside, but it's all good, man. I
Yeah,
can't
man,
complain too
it's
much.
nasty out. It's nasty out today, but we're gonna have a good show, good episode on this one. So we've done a number of these 10 Minute Tuesday, so let's go ahead and hop into it. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
For sure, yeah. Jonathan Reynolds. I'm a strategic cloud engineer at Google. Been in the industry probably for close to 10 years now. Before I got to Google, I was a software engineer at Capital One for about 6, 7 years. Been at Google for about 2 years. Um, yeah, just pretty much just like for the most part with my role as a strategic cloud engineer, I focus on just helping like medium and large enterprises to actually implement their cloud strategies, recommending best practices. Basically acting as a technical advisor to kind of help them with understanding what they should do and helping them solve complex problems with their cloud infrastructure.
Wow, so doing a lot of good things, helping out with a lot of great people, small, medium businesses, and different industry, Capital One, Google, and everything. But you had to get your start at some point. So, what really compelled you to get into technology and data in that regard?
Funny enough, like just from a technology perspective, I could probably take it back pretty far. Like I've always been big in video games, right? So like when I was a kid, that's probably my first exposure to technology was just like playing video games, seeing what was possible. I mean, obviously things have come a lot further now since like the late 90s, early 2000s, right? But yeah, man, that was probably my first exposure. Initially, I wanted to be like a video game designer because I thought it was just really cool how they could come up with these concepts and develop these games. So when I heard that was like a job role, that was probably the first introduction I had. But just from there, kind of things kind of morphed a little bit. I realized like I was naturally just kind of good at on the math and and science side of things. As I was like going through high school and getting ready to go into college, I saw that computer science was a route that I could take. And I kind of just gravitated to it immediately. And then just I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I struggled a little bit kind of understanding how to like get into the like programming. Like I actually understanding what really goes into some of that, but just definitely fell in love with it, stuck with it, and it's just taking me pretty far since.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely. You got Google, Capital One, probably, create your own video game by now. You're just doing all types of great things. But man, that's awesome to hear about the journey and really how something starts out, right? It's a video game, but just like, man, I didn't know that could be a career and how the passion turned into it. So kind of a follow up, are you still a gamer now?
Yeah. I still got my PS5 over there.
Yeah.
I don't play as much as I used to, of course, but yeah, I still play a little bit here and there.
Got you. Cool. All right. So thinking about your journey, which would you consider being your least favorite job to date?
Least favorite job, yeah. Yeah, I would probably say like I was so fresh out of school. The first job I had was at Capital One, and I definitely will say too, like Capital One is a great company. I mean, like, and the thing too is like with any kind of company, you can have different roles within the company. But it just so happened that one of the roles that I had taken, I'm not gonna lie and say that I loved it, but there's always going to be like a silver lining with anything. Like I felt like it was one of those kind of roles where I wasn't really able to flex my some of my software engineering, like software and development skills as much as I would have liked to. To an extent, it was kind of like being a support person between like Capital One and the partner that we were working with, and kind of helping them kind of solve their technical problems. But it wasn't so much as like building or like developing a new tech or like helping like to build a system or something like that, or building some API or some application or something like that. It was more so just kind of like troubleshooting some issues they had here and there, which I'm not gonna lie, it helped me in the sense of like developing some of my troubleshooting skills, understanding like some of those like capabilities and stuff, and kind of realizing too, like even though something might not necessarily be very sexy, it could still be extremely important because the role that I had was still very important to the business. So from a business perspective, I had a pretty high impact, but from a love of my day to day work, I definitely didn't enjoy it all that much. But
Yeah, yeah. I think we all have those roles. Like the company itself as a whole, right? Love the company, great, culture, everything. But particular areas, you're like, nah, this isn't
yeah.
it. Awesome. All right. So another thing, thinking about your journey, right? We all have the concept of failure with quotation marks around failure. So, what do you think is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from the experience?
Honestly, like one thing that I really struggled with after I graduated and started working was imposter syndrome. Like I really was kind of like I graduated, got my job, and was kind of very much in the mindset of like I'm just happy to be here. Like I'm happy I got a job. Like regardless of what the job is, I'm just happy I got this job. some like a voice in the back of my head is like, at some point they're gonna realize that I probably don't even really deserve to be here. So let me just try to just keep my head down, do what I need to do. But and I'm not gonna lie, that was a decent amount of time. That was probably a good like 2.5, maybe 3 year stretch that I was kind of in that mentality before I really kind of took a step back. And I mean, I had some other people kind of speak to me as well to kind of realize like, hey, your skills aren't really being as utilized as they could be here, or you have more potential to do this and that. And I kind of started to feel a lot more confidence in myself and kind of take more risks and put myself into a position to where I was going to be more successful. So I took more of an ownership over my career. So I feel like if anything, I guess I say all of that to say that one of my biggest mistakes was kind of like not really like not taking advantage of the situation and taking more of a back seat in my career development and kind of just letting things happen and not taking more of an aggressive approach of saying like, okay, here are my goals. This is what I'm going to do to make that happen, and I know I can make these happen. And being very open and honest with my manager at the time for stuff like that, and it worked out in my benefit. And I kind of haven't looked back since, but that was probably my biggest I guess I would say my biggest failure is because if I had stayed on that path, I mean, I could probably still be in that same role now and not not be in a situation that I'm enjoying like I am a lot more now.
Yeah, that's super dope and really great perspective. Kind of a follow up question to that. Do you remember like the turning point or the thing that clicked or whatever it was to start the ownership of where you're going to go forward?
I would say it was actually kind of funny enough. It was kind of getting involved in things outside of work. So like outside of my day to day, because like I would have like a couple friends of mine that might say like, hey, can you help me build out this website? And I would kind of do little things like that for them. And then it was a an entrepreneurship venture that I went to with one of my friends that really kind of put that battery in my back of saying like, okay, now you really can't do this. Um, where like I was able to develop the entire thing from a technical perspective pretty much by myself, from the ground up. And I feel like I taught myself a lot of the things I need to learn in order to make that happen. But it was like I kind of proved to myself that I could do that, and then I kind of translated a lot of those skills that I used from that into my day to day job. Started scouring other like opportunities within the company to see how I could kind of apply those same skills on my day to day job as well. And so a lot of networking involved with that. And then just kind of just progressed from there. Then I got a new role when I was at Capital One, and I completely loved that job 100%. Like I definitely enjoyed my time there. Once I kind of flipped the switch and was in a better position, I definitely I didn't look back after that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's really awesome having friends and a support system who can put the battery in your back and be like, nah, like you're really nice. Like you really know what you're doing or whatever. Cause we all like, but I won't say all, but I'm generalizing, but a lot of us have like that moment of like doubt or, you know, am I
For
getting it
sure.
right? Am I getting after it? Whatever it is. And really like I had a similar journey where people saying you're doing great, et cetera, et cetera. But still internally, there's just like, I could be doing more, or it's not there, it's not clicking, and there's the ownership piece. And when it came to really external projects like you, like gave me some of that internal validation to be like, no, I really am like, I know the craft, like I know what I'm doing, or I'm getting better at it. And similar, once that internal thing kind of flickered on, it's like we're off to the races now.
For sure, yeah, man. It works like that sometimes. Like sometimes it's like other people might believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And then
Yeah.
once you kind of can get yourself into that mindset, then yeah, man, the sky's the limit. Not
Yeah.
to be corny, but it's really
No,
like
it
that
is. It really is.
sometimes.
All right. So this question is tailored towards people who are just starting out in their career. What is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
One piece of advice, I mean, your brand, like really protecting your brand and establishing your brand, like getting that done early. And what I mean by that is like you want to kind of if you're just starting out, obviously like nobody's expecting you to know everything or to have all the answers, right? So you definitely want to take advantage of that. Ask all the questions, learn as much as you can, take as much risk as you can early in that sense, because there's no pressure that's really on you at this point. Everybody knows you're just starting out, and they'll probably be more willing to share that information because they know that you're just starting out. Like they know, oh yeah, this person just started not too long ago. Like, let me help them on their career journey. Stuff and giving back in those ways also helps other people feel good as well too, from like a mentoring perspective, and even just like kind of giving back and like thinking back to where you were in that same situation. So definitely doing that from like a personal brand perspective. And then even to add to that is like, like kind of putting yourself out there from like even like a networking perspective in the same kind of sense of just like, if you feel like somebody has some skill or you're admiring somebody or something or what they're doing, you want to be able to ask those questions and network with that person to the point where then maybe um when you're not in those rooms, these people can vouch for you and speak positively on your name. So then next thing you know, you might look up and various opportunities are just coming your way because of those situations that you took advantage of. So it's like, you want to make sure that, whenever you're not in the room, that still positive things are being said about you, that you're doing the things that you say you're going to do, and it's consistently building on your brand in that way. So I would say that's the number one thing is to just kind of build that personal brand and set yourself up as a person that people will want to continue to help and speak positively on.
Man, that's great advice. That's definitely great advice. Like, especially now in LinkedIn community, social media, whatever, like your online presence, your online brand, your public persona, whatever you want to call it, like it's huge. And people will, I meet you at a networking event, I go to LinkedIn, I see what you posted, right? There's already a bias or perception, like, immediately after you met someone, like, oh man, they're an articulate person. Like, let me see what they're doing. Oh man, they're doing this. I might need, help with this. Or, like you said, in rooms or different events, like, oh, they work for blank. Like, let me make sure I pull them in. Or, this skill set is that. And, you have connectors and stuff. So I think the brand piece is super huge, especially for someone starting out. So great advice there.
For sure, man. I couldn't have said it better, man. It's like you always hear about that about like like building up your personal brand, but you really would be surprised, especially if you're just starting out, like how much of an impact that really does make. Like it's important.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right. So tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
Um, yeah, I guess for me, like the easy answer would be probably like my mom, because like my mom pretty much was, I was raised by a single mom, right? Like and I saw how hard she worked all the time and everything, and I kind of like I'm not going to sit here and say that I have the exact type of drive that she has, but I will say that I got a lot of that from her. Like, you know what I mean? She definitely influenced me in that way, and just always kind of being that person in the back of my mind to kind of tell me like, hey, you can do this, you could do that, and kind of pushing me to do more and to really reach my full potential, and even outside of that, I mean, like even when I think about some of the decisions that I made in terms of like when I was just starting to work, like one of the best advice she even gave me was like pay yourself first. So even from that perspective, like I could look back and say like I appreciate that because then I've been able to kind of help myself over the years to kind of be in a better position even financially from those small things, those bits of advice. So I mean I would definitely say my mom is definitely at the top of the list.
Shout out to moms, man. They're great. Like, they're awesome, man. They always know how to, the right way push us, but then nurture, but then be there, but then be a confidant, man. Shout out to the moms. Y'all are amazing. Mom, if you're watching this, you're dope. All right, John, where can listeners find you at online?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm probably on LinkedIn the most. I mean, yeah, you can find me Jonathan A. Reynolds, or I think I think they do have like the LinkedIn handles now. So I think mine is what J Reynolds 1911, I believe is mine. So I guess it's
Oh,
linkedin.com/.
1911. Oh, gosh.
Hey man, you see that in the
Yeah,
background,
I
man.
see it. I see it.
But yeah, but I'm not really on X that much, not really on Threads, but mainly on LinkedIn. I would say it's probably the best way.
Good deal, man. John, well, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for taking time out today to be on 10 Minute Tuesday.
For sure, man. Definitely humble to be on this show, man. Definitely appreciate it, man. Keep doing your thing for sure.
Hey, no doubt. I appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for joining and watching. Like I said, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great day.